It seems like life is getting busier and busier with every passing day, and it's a struggle to find balance, a balance between work, a balance between family, and a balance between our personal journey with fitness and nutrition. Today, we have a very special guest with us who is going to help us find harmony in our everyday living through yoga and lifestyle. Our guest, Paige Danforth, is someone who I have known for quite some time, and she never fails to inspire me. She leads a life that is filled with a variety of healthy living pursuits. She's always striving for self-discovery, personal growth, and a better, more balanced existence. Now, one of Paige's passions is yoga, and she is a yoga instructor and really a health advocate like no other. And as we get talking to her, you'll see that she is involved in a variety of endeavors that deal with health, body, and mind and spirit. So I am so excited to have Paige here today, and I am really looking forward to this conversation, and I hope that you find it helpful and inspiring as well. So let's just jump right in and give a warm welcome to Paige. Welcome, Paige, and thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey.
Thanks for having me here, Evelyn. I'm so excited to have this chat with you.
Now, I have known you for quite some time, and the one thing about you that really does inspire me is the way that you live your life. You are super, super busy with so many different things, and it seems like everything that you do engage in, you put all this effort in it. You really care about how the outcome is, but you do it with grace and with just a sense of calm. So it really does inspire me. And maybe what we can start with is if you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Paige Danforth, as Evelyn said. Right now, I currently live in Muskoka, Ontario. I did grow up in the Caledon area where Evelyn is located. And basically, a little bit about me is, not going to lie, growing up, I did not like fitness at all. It was not my jam. It was something that got later introduced to me when I really found something that aligned with me and that I fell in love with, and that was yoga. And since I got introduced to yoga, my life has changed in so many different ways. But backstep that a little bit more. When I first graduated high school, I became a dental hygienist. My primary goal in life has always been, how can I love and care for people while also doing something that I really love doing? And it was funny because when I was growing up, I had braces for so many years, and I remember asking the orthodontist and the dentist all these questions, and I was like, I love that they can give me these answers, and maybe one day I'll do this. So that's what I pursued as a career. And then as time went on, I kind of abused the career a little bit, and it caused my body to start to hurt in a lot of different ways, being hunched over people all the time, cleaning teeth. So that's when I knew I needed to implement some sort of healthy lifestyle into my life. And that's when yoga came into my life. And ever since, yoga has been a huge part of my life. And since then, it's transitioned into Pilates as well as yoga, and so many other things have come along the way. And in that time being, I have actually changed my specialty, I would say, to be more with children. And for that reason is because I so wish that at a younger age, I had developed a routine and a love for fitness. But growing up, it was always a struggle for me. So my primary goal now is to get fitness and fun fitness into younger kids' lives for them to carry it on and have it be something that's just engraved in who they are as they become adults. So I'm a fitness instructor as a yoga instructor and a Pilates instructor. I'm a dental hygienist. I have lots of trauma information and courses around trauma work. I'm also a lifeguard and a swim instructor. So I've got all these little things that I dabble in.
Right. And I know that you're also very involved in nutrition and that whole Arbonne program as well. So it it's kind of all full circle. It's very encompassing, right? So let's
Yes.
get back to yoga for a minute. So what exactly is yoga?
Yeah. So honestly, yoga can be so many different things to so many different people, but basically it is a form of movement, and it can be either an extensive form of yoga or movement, or it can be a very relaxing type of yoga. Actually, yesterday at one of my kids' classes, the little boy, he was super tired. He's like, I just want to lay here. And the perfect thing about yoga is it can be just lying on your mat. We lifted our feet up in the air. We did a couple windshield wipers, a couple stretches here and there. And it was just totally zen and relaxed. But yoga can also be all the way to a very extensive hard class, or it could even be like a hot class. So yoga is anything that you want it to be, from literally lying on your mat and just zenning out to a really extensive hard workout. And I feel like that's why it's so great for so many people, because it can touch on every single aspect of whatever you want it to be.
And so why do you think yoga is something that people should consider, other than the fact it sort of adapts to where you are in that particular moment? But what are some of the benefits of yoga?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely mentally, it gives us a space to just like come down to earth, to just take a moment for ourselves, to just sit, to sink in, just to feel. As you mentioned at the beginning, we're just running these days. Everything is go, 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 go. So mentally, to be able to have that space, and it seems so silly to just have to roll out a mat and that's your space, or even to just sit on the grass and that's your space. But really, in today's world, we need those moments of just zen, to tap into us and like truly say, how are we feeling right now? How do we show up our best? What can we do to make ourselves feel better and show up better? And I think that often gets so past these days because we're just flying, right? Everything is such high speed. Everything is so fast. So that is a great mental aspect of it. And then physically, again, like I said, it can be whatever type of workout that you want. So stretching of the body, of all of the muscles, all the way to building muscle, a strengthening class, to working out, depending on what your goals are. And that's why I love it, because you can, whatever you want to trigger is what you get to trigger, right?
Now, would you also say that yoga would be a cardiovascular workout, or it can be a cardiovascular workout? How does that work?
It totally could be a cardiovascular workout. So on Sunday mornings, I actually teach a pretty fast-paced class, and it's in a hot room. So there is such thing as hot yoga too. And that's about 100 degrees. So you're already sweating. You already feel your heart rate a little bit increased because it is nice and hot in there. And then moving through that, definitely cardiovascular as well.
Right. So now if you were to do a hot yoga class, are you moving at that quick pace, or is it just the temperature within the room that sort of gets your body going?
So again, the beautiful thing about a hot class is you could also have it be like a sleepy hot class. I teach a restorative class. So that's like lying in simple poses, holding those poses for like 5 minutes. Or it could be a power class, which is very powerful, moving through it at a fast pace, getting the poses, holding the poses. So again, whether it's in a hot room, whether it's outside, whether it's inside, it can always be dedicated to, again, whatever you're trying to target.
So now you mentioned yoga for kids and your newfound passion with working with them to inspire them to be better as they, I guess, go through life. What about obviously for people that are in the middle age, but what about for older people? How does yoga adapt to them and what their physical needs?
Yeah. So honestly, like I said, there's even a thing called chair yoga, which means if somebody is not mobile enough to stand up, they can even do yoga in a chair sitting down. So that's why I'm like, it really can be for anybody. You can do yoga lying down. You can do yoga in a chair. So that could be dedicated to like the older crowd. And then also the goal of like gently starting to stretch out even deeper into whatever it might be. Like maybe you start at chair yoga and then you work up to just like a nice gentle yin or restorative class, which is really just like a stretching of the body, caring for the muscles. And I just feel like the longer that we love on ourselves, the longer that we care for ourselves, the more mobile we are likely to be as we get older, right?
So it seems like yoga is for everybody. It can be fast paced. It can be slow paced. I guess one of the concerns that people have when they're starting or even thinking about a yoga class is I see all these people doing all these poses, as you say, and maybe I'm thinking I'm not flexible like that. And you think that yoga is for bendy people and I'm not bendy. So, what happens to those people when they're in your class?
Yes, for sure. So I would always say when you're starting out with yoga, you want to look for classes that are like a yin class, that have the name slow in it, that have restorative or yin name to it. Those are always very slow introductory classes, or a beginner class. But again, the great thing about a yoga class is you can come to your mat and it's your practice. You get to choose what you want to do. So I've had many times where I'm teaching an extensive power class, but somebody was just feeling like they needed to be in that room today, but that class doesn't suit them. They don't want to be participating in that class. So they just lie on their mat. They listen to the sound of your voice. They maybe do a couple stretches, hug in their knees, curl up into a ball, whatever serves them. And I feel like that's such a special thing about yoga is there's never any judgment. Whatever you want to come to your mat to do is totally up to you. And I know that me personally in my classes, I always try and give like modifications, like here's the easiest one, here's a middle modification, and then here's an advanced modification. So it really can hit every single level of person so that nobody ever feels excluded from a class.
That's great, great, great news to hear. So other than the mat, is there any other type of equipment that you need to do a yoga practice?
No, honestly, and you don't even really need a mat. Like if you have a ground, we all have ground, we all have the earth, go outside, you can do it on grass, at the beach, like anywhere. I love having my yoga mat, obviously, when I'm going to the studios, but you can do it just your body. All you need is your body and you are good to go. And that's another thing I love. It's like there's no excuses. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You need a small amount of space, as much space as your body takes up lying down, and that's about all, and you're good to go.
Right. So there's no really expensive equipment that you have to buy. Although I do see, in yoga stores and when I've seen people do yoga, they've got like blocks and they've got some bands, simple things like that. What would those be?
Yeah. So most of the time, blocks or bands would be used to deepen poses or to help hold poses. But a lot of the times, if you're going into a yoga studio, they already provide those. So if you were doing it at home, you might want to invest in blocks. But honestly, 2 books is just as good as blocks. It's just to help if you wanted to deepen the stretch a little bit. Say you were trying to reach your toes and you couldn't reach all the way to the toes, well, then you would just slip the block there. And now you can reach the block or the book. If you're using a book, now you can touch the book. And it's just going to help you eventually slower and slower get down to your toes by, removing the block a little bit or putting a slimmer book under there type deal. So it's just really helping with progressions, or if it's a restorative class, it's just helping to make the pose more comfy to be able to hold it for longer. But again, it's nothing that you have to use. You could use a pillow at home. You could use a block. Like there's so many things that you could substitute with that you definitely do not have to invest in purchasing a yoga block.
Okay, so this is all good check marks for me. Like, yeah, that. Now, if you were to do a yoga class, how long would you recommend that period of time be? Or is there a standard time that you should be aiming for?
Yeah, for sure. So most studios usually run classes that are anywhere between 45 minutes to 75 minutes. I would say the average is an hour-long class. Every class that I teach right now is an hour-long class. Usually how the class is run, personally, how I like to do it is like a 10-minute warm-up, and then we have about a 10-minute cool down, and then we have a 10-minute shavasana. And shavasana, for those who don't know, is just literally lying on the mat, just sinking in the practice, letting everything go, just fully releasing, like sleeping mode. You do nothing for the last 10 minutes. So it's really actually about a half an hour of movement that we're doing. Again, depending on the type of class. If it's a restorative class, we're lying on our back pretty much the whole time. But if it was more of a flow class, and it's about a half an hour, I would say. And if you're just getting started, you might be a little bit tired at the end of that. I would say you could start with like an online class, about a half an hour, and then work yourself up. If you were hoping to get into a studio, like I said, they'd be about an hour long.
Okay, that's great. So other than flexibility that you mentioned and a little bit of cardio, if you want to go that route, what are some of the other benefits of a yoga practice?
So definitely strength training. It causes you, because you're just using the same well, not necessarily the same muscles, but say a chaturanga. So that's a plank. That's one of the main poses in yoga. And obviously being in that plank position engages all of the core muscles, engages the shoulder muscles, all the arm muscles. So I have noticed since doing yoga that I've become a lot stronger of an individual. So I would say physically, yeah, cardio, strength, flexibility, and then the mind, like we talked about. There's just so many benefits to be able to just come into your own space and to give yourself those moments of time.
Right. So when we're talking about the mind part of the practice, and you're saying that, you just kind of lie there. So are we talking about breathing? Is it meditation, or is it something different?
Yeah, so it would definitely be a form of meditation. Usually, when you're lying on the mat, the instructor is walking you through some sort of feel into your body, whether that be like feel into your toes, let them fall to the side, feeling your breath, inhale, exhale type thing. And then some instructors also just like to play like a little bit of a song at the end, or they'll read a little meditative verse, something like that at the end. To be honest, I don't have an exact way that I finish a class every single time. It's just kind of like whatever is feeling right for me is what I feel. It's probably what everybody else in the room is also needing to hear that day. So I kind of just go with whatever happens. But sometimes it's 5 minutes of like complete silence that they get. And sometimes you totally walk them through it and it's just breathing and feeling into all parts of their body type deal.
So what are a couple of moves that you would recommend for somebody who's a newbie?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely anybody can do these ones. I'm going to recommend a couple lying down ones. So just even when you're lying on your back, curling your knees into your chest and wrapping your elbows around the top of your kneecaps, and then just drawing your forehead up to the knee. So basically you're trying to curl yourself into like a small little ball, take up as little space as you can. I love to do that one first thing in the morning, get nice and small. And then the best thing is to just release it all and then take up as much space in the room as you can, stretching everything out like a good morning stretch. So that's like a good one to just start and finish the day. And then a couple popular ones that you would hear in a class, if you attended a class, is a child's pose. So a child's pose is when you come down to your knees, you try to bring your bum down to your heels, and then your arms are nice and long, and you just try and sink as close to the earth as you can. And then another one that you'll probably hear in a lot of classes is our downward dog. And when a dog does like that, like big stretch through their back and they like come up into a triangle, that's exactly where it got the name from. So it's literally just hands and feet on the floor, and you're trying to make your body into a triangle. And that just feels so good on the back of your thighs, your calves. It stretches all through the muscles of your back and into your spine. So that's a really great one as well. So I'd say that those two are like ones you would hear in a yoga class. And then the other two that I gave are just like great to do in your bed and morning and nighttime.
Right. So it's like that, I guess, coming all in together. I love the way that you described that, because I could just sort of seeing when you come in together, you're kind of also stretching your back muscles, right? And then when you go out, you're just releasing all the stress that you've built up. So I love that. It's great. Now, you mentioned also that you're a Pilates instructor. And I'm just wondering, what's the difference between yoga and Pilates? If someone's saying, I want to start something and I like the sound of it because it seems like I'm not jumping up and down like a high intense cross training, but my son does. Insane. Maybe this is more my style. So what's the difference between yoga's, Pilates, and maybe even ballet? Because I think of all three of them kind of as that soothing movement.
So yoga definitely has like the more spiritual aspect to it, which includes the mind that we were talking about, getting into that Zen, taking a moment for yourself type deal. Pilates is actually a lot more of strengthening. So people would say that Pilates is a little bit harder because it's a lot more, say, like squatting up and down, or a lot more pulsing. You feel the muscle burn a lot more in Pilates. And the cool thing about Pilates is it can be done on a machine, which is called reformer Pilates, or it can be done on a mat, which is mat Pilates. So there's also two different forms of Pilates. And then ballet is more of a dance, which is a beautiful form of like movement put to some sort of it's like choreographed, like they have like music that usually goes to a dance theme or rhythm that they're making into some beautiful production is usually what ballet is.
Right. Well, all three of them sound wonderful. So I understand that you offer both yoga and Pilates classes. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, where people can go or how they can contact you to do that. I know you're up in Muskoka, and I'm wondering if you do anything online for, those people that you left behind in Caledon.
I know, right? Skoka, I am at 3 different studios, so I'm always have classes posted on my website about where in Muskoka I am. And then I also teach reformer Pilates in Muskoka. So I will touch a little bit on reformer Pilates because that's very new and people are always looking for a spot to do it, because I actually don't even think that we have a spot in Caledon. So we might have beat you guys there on that one. So if it comes to Caledon, I would be super excited about that. But it's Pilates on a machine, and it's a great workout, and I do that in Huntsville. So that's about 20 minutes north from Bracebridge where I live, but it's in a beautiful studio, a brand new studio. There's only 3 machines currently, so it's a great little like semi-private class. You get a lot of hands-on skills. So if you're ever in the area, we definitely take people who just like come in. You can just buy a one-time class pass, and there's also like a 5-class pass. We would love to have you try that out, and I promise you will get addicted and want to find a studio somewhere near you. So that's something that's just like on the rise right now. But for the people that I left behind in Caledon, I am always open to online classes. Currently, I'm not running any as of right now. Summer was very crazy, but starting in the fall, so about now, probably October, I'm going to be offering 1 class a week online. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be a Sunday morning type class, and it will be recorded. So anybody who wants to use it anytime throughout the week who can't participate on the Sunday when it's live, they will be able to have access to that as well. And I'm probably just going to honestly do that as a donation base for the school in Africa that I help to run. So it's just going to be a great thing for us to all come together and socialize. But if I am ever running any retreats or anything like that in the Caledon area, which I do hope to do in the near future, as well as international retreats, they will also all definitely be posted on my website for you.
And I know you were talking previously, I heard about your international retreat. So what is your website if somebody wants more information, Paige?
Yeah, so it's www.dreamingbig with 2 G's, so BIGG and then .com.
Okay, that's great. And, this has been so enlightening. It's really been inspiring as well. And I really thank you for sharing this information.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Evelyn. It was great chatting.
Okay. And hopefully we'll have you back to talk about maybe some of your other endeavors.
Yes, would love that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. You have a great day.